Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eugene Agbikodo. I'm here in Holland, in Rex 1. It's a great pleasure for me, again, successfully growing Habanero in Africa. And I'm in the studio with my colleague, Harald Peters.
Good morning.
And I'm also here with Beta Bageni.
Good morning, everyone. Habari za asubuhi.
And we are together going to take you through how to grow habanero successfully. We realize in Africa that some growers are doing very well, some are struggling. What are the key points that you have to focus on? And this is our message as a follow-up of the one of last year. Last year we focused on, viral pressure, how to deal with the viruses that are really devastating sometimes habanero. You have a good seed, but then you have to know how to do it again in the open field or in the greenhouse. And this time, we really want to follow up with the one of last year, and we want to take you through. The content is we want to focus on nursery, how to develop seedlings. Very importantly, some people get a good seed, but they don't know how to develop good seedlings. And we know that if you develop a good seedling, you are about 50% of success in the production. And then that's the first step. But then the second step will be, how do you prepare the field? Field preparation, transplanting is a key moment where you have to really tackle in a very, very nice way. You are also going to take care of the crop nutrition. This is a very, very important one. We're going to focus on that again more in deep. Some people have a good habanero production from the beginning to the end, good size. Some complain. Why those complain? We are going to tackle that. We are going to talk about it in the crop nutrition. And a special business case. We have to see habanero production as a business. And my colleague Harold is going to really take you through different cases where you can see it's a profitable crop. How do you make it that level? You have to really plan and do it properly. And at the end, we're going to give you, where do you want to get, if you want to get a seed of Rex 1, where do you get it? In our distribution in different countries throughout sub-Saharan Africa, we're going to take you to that level so that when you need the seed, you can get it easily. Okay, then if I want to go to the nursery part, if you have a good seed from Rex 1, either Afaja, either Luleza or Mawenzili, you have to develop the seedling. How do you go about it? And we prepare for you a very practical exercise where you can see, we take it all the way from Senegal. You will see how to prepare the seedling, what are the different steps, step by step, to grow seedling. I would like to invite you all to watch this step, and after that, we're going to have some comment about it. Thank you very much for following. We are at AgroSeed in Senegal, where we want to demonstrate to you how to make a good seedling. It all starts with good level of table, and now very fine, nice substrates, fine, well organized, and we need a tray. And we are going to see how they fill the tray. We have to fill the tray properly. This woman has been trained for a long time how to really fill the tray. So she's pulling all the substrate in the tray with a very gentle, not too much compress it. And now she's going to really press it a little bit, not too soft, not too hard, okay, with the fingers. Now the second round is to fill it again to make it even. Wow, look at it now. This tray is ready to go to the next step. The next step is to make the hole. Next step now is step to making the hole. To make the hole, as you can see, this lady, they are well trained, they know how it works. And you can also see Apsu is making it. And the hole should be really quite uniform, not too deep, not too on the surface, you know. More you go to deep, less chance you have good germination. It should be not deeper than twice the size of the seed. So you see, the way they are making very fast, they have been trained to do it. And then you will see these trays, when it's well done, it shows you some level of uniformity, level of the hole. Nice. You see the hole? Quite uniform. Well done. Now we go to the next step. Thank you. The next step now is to put the seed in the hole. As you can see, this lady is doing it. They are trained for it. She's taking the seed out of the Luleza sachet, and then she's putting in the hole. You put it there, you put it in, making sure that every horse receives his own seed. Now she's covering gently. Each hole has received his own seed. Now he's gently filling it right. Now this tray is ready to go to the next step. We are now going to watering the tray that we prepare. Atsu will demonstrate to us how to do it. Gentle, right? Gentle, as you can see, very gentle. They should receive enough water, but in a gentle way. Make sure that the seed does not come out of the hole. As you can see, this one is now ready. Remember, Chinense pepper should be well soaked in the water. Make sure if one seed is out, see it properly and make sure that no seed is out. These trays are ready to go to the next step. Now we are in the dark room. In the dark room, you see the tray is there, well soaked in water, and now we want to show you how to handle the tray in the dark room, because the dark room is not that big, but look at it now, the way she's laying one tray on the other, but in a very gentle way, you see, in a zigzag way. But make sure that the hole are not on hole. In this way, you have to cover it with the dark plastic. The idea of covering is to maintain the same uniformity level, and then for about 5 to 6 days. From 4th day, you can already have a look if your germination is well. We make sure that the seeds are very well soaked, and to make uniformity of humidity on all holes. And from 4 days, you start checking. 5, 6 days, you remove the whole plastic, and then you will see you have a quite uniform germination. Have a look. You can see we are talking about above 95% of germination. Look at the level of uniformity of germination. This is after 11 days of sowing. So all the steps we've shown you are very important. If you do it properly, you will always come to the conclusion Rex 1 seed does germinate very well. 95 to 100% seed germination, uniformity of the seedling, this is perfect. And we believe you can do the same in your own country. Look at it again, nice, either Afaja, either Luleza, either Mawenzili, you can reach 95 minimum, 98, why not 100% seed germination. Thank you very much. Now we are in the nursery. If you look at all the effort from step 1 to last step, we have a good germination. That's how we look. Look at it now. Nice seedlings. This is beautiful. As you can see the whole nursery, these seedlings are ready for transplanting. But look at the investment on the nursery itself. Not very expensive, but make sure that you have a very good net. You know, the netting should be against thrips-proof insect net. Make it sure that you have no thrips in your nursery, no aphid. Then you have a healthy seedling, uniform, and make sure that during transplanting, everything is well done, and you are already at more than 50% of the successful production. Seedling count for more than 50%, some people say. I would say 50%. Nice seedling. Let me give you an example of this one. Nice seedling. Look at the root system. Beautiful. The growth tip is well done. This seedling, in a couple of days, they're going to be in the field. So everyone can do that. If you buy a seed from Red One, make sure that you have a structure. Don't just do it in the wilderness, open in the air. Protect them from aphid and trip to start with, and then you are having nice seedling and then ready for production. This is again another precision. Look at it now on this label. We put Loleza Rex 1. Very important to have the name of the variety, the date of sowing, 27 May 2024, and then again, lot number is very important. Site where the production take place, 10, 28, 11, 32, 7. And when you write it on the both sides. Write it on this side, write it also on this side. Then you place it at the sowing already. It's already there. You have it there. And then you know everything, 95%. Thank you very much. The lot number is working. Everything is perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this step, how to raise seedlings. The way the seed has been soaked in the water and covered everything. You can watch it over again anytime you want. But the next step now, as I already introduced to you, is the field preparation and transplanting. Don't joke with this. This is very important. Generally, I would like to let you know that Habanero plant does not prefer, they don't like very heavy clay soil. So they prefer sandy or even loamy soil. So field preparation is a key. I don't know where you are. Anywhere you can grow, but you have to work a bit on the land, on the soil. Lose the soil and raise a bed with organic manure. You can cow dung or anything that can really improve the soil quality. Don't compromise with that. You have a good seedling, but at this level, take it very serious. And again, when you are preparing your field, prepare in the field and make sure that surrounding is not all plant with the dirty leftover of previous production of habanero from any source that you have. Make sure that the surrounding is good, because the effort you put in the seedling, you have to continue again. Some people stop on the way, but don't stop on the way. Continue with consistent production procedure. And then the soil quality play a big role in that. Another advice is the drip irrigation and the plastic mulch. The serious advantage of these two to reduce the effect of splashes, but also to conserve water. You can really manage your water source. I believe you have a bowl, you have water in the tank. You want to manage your water properly. So this is, again, make it nice. You conserve a nice humidity in the soil. This is important. And also the plastic might help you to manage well the trips. Because you know when the trips lay the egg on they come to the plastic mat, they will burn out. Then you can break the cycle of trips production in your trips multiplication in your field, in your farm. So this is very, very important to take care of it. Let's talk about it more in concrete. How do you make it? We are talking about having 16,000 to 20,000 plants per hectare. Some people, for instance, in different countries, they make it even to 13,000 seedlings. Then they give more space to have more giant plants. But all is possible. It's up to you to decide, but we advise you within 16 to 20,000 seedling per hectare. That is what you could achieve very, very nicely. But make it more gently. Do it take care of it. Don't just throw the plant in the field. Make a hole, make the plastic mulch. If you're having a drip irrigation, lay the drip down, make the hole before you put the plastic on top and to make the hole. As you can see, it's very, very important to know that we make it in a zigzag way. In a bed of 1 meter large, you can make 2 lines of production, but in a zigzag way, 60 centimeters from plant to plant. And within bed, you can go up to 50, depending on what you want to achieve. But in general, you can have this plant density. Seedling must be placed in each hole. We don't want a situation whereby you have some, in many countries we've seen sometime they have a 1 hectare, but only 10,000 plants. If you make it properly, seed with a good root system placed in each row, I believe you're going to have, if you plan to have 16, you have it, 16,000 or 20,000 per hectare. And very, very important is the density. We advise, for instance, if you are in an area where the humidity, the vegetative growth pattern is very high, we advise you to diminish the density. But if you are in a place with quite dry, you can also go to up to 20. We've seen it in Senegal, for instance. People go all the way to 25,000 seedlings, plant in the field per hectare. So we believe that is already quite high, but it's possible. And then they harvest for about 2 months and they're happy. They get enough yield, it's okay, I'm happy with it. But it's up to you to make in your business plan a clear, but the business plan have to start from here already. Planning, preparing the field well, how many plants I want to have per hectare or per acre. It should be clear before you start doing the whole thing. So very importantly, make sure that, and have some leftover. If any plant has some issue, you can drench, but then if you lose the plant, make quickly replacement. Somebody have to be there to make the replacement because you want to have a 1 hectare, have it properly done. This is important. But now another thing is important is when the plant starts growing. Our Habanero plants are quite big. They can be very big and the branch can go sidewise, full of fruit, as you can see. What do we advise? The cropping system. We have different cropping systems, and you can have only stick on the side of the bed, on both sides, and you put a pole and you put a wire to support the crop so that you don't fall off. The fruit, when the fruit are heavy on the plant tend to break, but you can avoid it by putting a nice cropping system. It's up to you to think about it in your own place, how you want to do it. I think this is very important for you. I believe all of you have a lot of experience in cropping system. So don't joke with any of the steps. We know some people have 3 kilo per plant, some have even 4-6 kilo per plant. We're going to see that in later on, okay? So very importantly, I think I will continue now with the crop nutrition. No step here is for granted. Every step is so important to focus on. If you make it from the seedling to up we are now, the next step is now on the crop nutrition. I want to spend a little bit more time here on the crop nutrition. Crop nutrition is a key. It's very, very important to have a good crop nutrition. We have in the crop nutrition the primarily most important nutrient, the nitrogen, the phosphate, and the potassium. These are really, really important that you have to really, you cannot joke with it. And also phosphate, potassium, and the secondary are calcium and magnesium. Each of them play different role. When you're talking about nitrate, nitrogen is good for the leaf development, vegetative part of the plant. When we're talking about phosphate, we are talking about the root development. But phosphate plays dual role. Phosphate can also go on initiation of flowers, the flowering. It can affect really much the flowering. So this is a dual. While potassium play a role in the fruit development and the quality of the fruit and the color of the fruit, you play with the potassium. Okay? This is very important. And also calcium. When we are talking about the calcium, you want to improve the cell wall and the transportation. You see, this is very important. It also play a role. Some people have a blossom end, not in pepper per se, but in other crop like tomato. The calcium increase also the resistance of the plant if you have a good balance of calcium. But also the magnesium this is a chlorophyll, chloroplast production, which play a role in the photosynthesis, the energy part of the plant. So I think any of these cannot neglect. But we propose to you here from the sowing to the last harvesting. If you have a sowing, be careful, not in the nursery start putting fertilizer anyhow. Not before the first two leaves. At the cotyledon level, don't put any fertilizer, you will burn. The cotyledon are very fragile. And then when you start with the NPK, I believe we are talking about fertigation in those who grow it very much in the nursery. I've seen it also, I mean in the greenhouse, I want to say. I've seen it in Senegal, I've seen it in Ghana. But even open field, some grower has a good venturi system fertigating the plant. You can have a quicker response to the fertilization. So look at the NPK, the formula we put there, 30-10-10, for instance. It means you have more nitrogen. Nitrogen exists in a different form, okay? But then at the flowering, if you want, you don't put the potassium in anyhow, you put it right away, after transplanting, 2 weeks maximum. Even you prepare the soil with full of potassium already, but when you are in the greenhouse, when you are using fertigation, start balancing already, changing from 30-10-10 to 10-50-10. Then you increase the level of phosphate in your fertigation. And to build up the root system, because the root system, as deep as it is, it will support the plant production. At that level, then you don't wait much. After 4 weeks, we advise already to start playing with the potassium, because the potassium depend on which quality of potassium you have. If you have a potassium nitrate, it goes very fast in the plant system. Within, I would say, within 1 week, you already have effect. But then look at the balance. You see, from sowing, we put effort in nitrogen. Right 1 week already, before you transplant, you prepare your soil with some fertilizer. We advise DAP or MAP. Okay, then you put effort, we put more phosphate in the soil already, preparing the soil, or in the nursery, or in the greenhouse. Then you start with N and P, and then before flowering, don't wait for the flower bud before you start putting the potassium. So the balance is there, but generally what we advise within 100 to 150 nitrogen per hectare in production. And then on the phosphate, we propose 60, it's a minimum we believe, depending on the quality of your soil, then to 80. But then if you want to have a good harvest, continuous size of the fruit, don't compromise with potassium. Yeah, we propose potassium should be double minimum of nitrogen. Yeah, so the ratio is 1/2 and double. Then when we come to the secondary nutrient, calcium and magnesium, don't put them at the same level. It will not work because they'll fight each other. Especially if you have to have less magnesium in the system. This is very important. I want to really, you can follow it later again and anytime you want, but these are the basics that you have to know. And then you play with it depending on your condition, the soil and the water system you have in your place. But also, beside that, we have a micronutrient, which are iron, manganese, zinc, copper, boron, and molybdenum. These are the 3 elements playing a very important role in your fertigation. However, you don't need them in a big amount. Plant does not need that much. Small quantity, sometimes 50 grams of molybdenum is enough for the whole hectare production. Okay? So these are very, very key that you have to have. Each of them play a big role in photosynthesis, in chlorophyll, different role for these 6 microelements. But in the nursery, I know we also advise sometimes to make a good dilution, but not your dilution go beyond 0.2, 0.3%, but not before the true leaves. Don't be in a hurry to boost the plant. The plant has its own speed. So take care of that. Maximum dilution, even in the field, is about 2%. But remember, the foliar feed is not to replace, it cannot replace the root system, because you give food to the plant through the root. But then if you want to make correction, if you see your plant is weak, if you want to get it quicker, you can go on the dilution and put it in, you spray. But any form, for instance, if you want to put more, any of the element, make sure that you're going to have a heavy, because if you have a heavy dilution, more than 2%, you can also burn your leaves. So take care of all this, and it's very important. But then let me give a little bit more emphasis on those who are directly open field. If you're in open field, importantly, I will advise you to mix. For instance, if you have a triple superphosphate, it means you have a strong phosphate, because phosphate in the soil is important. You can put in a mix, 20 gram, 10 of, and magnesium sulfate, you put them, you mix them to put it in as a basal application. In case, I know triple superphosphate is not in all countries, it's not easy to get. If you don't have a DAP, you can also maximize on the soil preparation with the manure, poultry or cow dung, anything that you can bring a powerful soil to start with. Don't compromise with it, okay? So on the crop development up to harvest, nutrition, on the fertigation regime, the second application will be, most of the African country in open field, you have a NPK 17, 17, 17. Not bad, but you can really, after 2 weeks of transplanting, put minimum, we'll advise you, 20 gram. But you can break it in 2, 10 gram, 10 gram. This is also possible. Some has NPK 12, 12, 17, different formula in your place. But be careful to undernourish, because we've seen it in many cases. I went to a field and then the plant is very chancy, it's not a powerful plant. But I say, if I look at the whole thing they put in that plant, after 2 months, they have not put more than 10 or 5 to 7 gram per plant. They are undernourished the plant. If you expect to have a good yield, definitely fertilizer play a big role. And our hybrid is also heavy feeder. You have to really put in, and you can get better yield. For instance, in Senegal, we have 7 to 8 kilo per plant, very easily, and good size continuation. In this case, some people in Senegal, for instance, they put 200 nitrogen, almost 60 to 80 on phosphate, but potassium, they go all the way to 350. And then you see powerful plant, continuation is nice. So in conclusion, let me tell you this. Much better to start with the clean seed from Rex 1. Don't compromise with it. And if you have in a neighboring dirty seed from any competition, or save seed from grower, from farmer, avoid that. It's very, very important also to develop a good seedling. As we said, you succeed already, 50% guarantee of good production. Seedlings are already infested in the nursery. Avoid that. Protect it. If you want to be a serious businessman, just protect. Wooden, some people put wooden, but put a net proof to avoid the trick in your nursery. Good seedling is not enough, but you have to really, good scouting, we work on it in the previous webinar, scouting continuously to detect at early stage where you have infestation, and you work on it, and we guarantee that together you are going to make a good business out of this. And don't compromise organic manure. Everything we've sent to you, listen to it again and again. I believe you're going to have a successful production and a good business out of habanero production. Now I think I will stop here and I will give my colleague will take over and he will get you through the process of production, but now the business case. Because if you are producing, you want to make money out of it. I would like to invite my colleague Harold to take over from now. Thank you, Harold.
Thank you, Dr. Eugene.
Thank you.
I've very nice take through the crop management.
Yeah.
Maybe our creator here, Berta Bagenyi, is here, the creator of our varieties. Are there any questions, burning questions that we need to answer quickly?
So far, no questions, but we have people joining from Ghana, Nigeria, Zambia, Ethiopia, which is really nice. And if you have any questions, just put it on the chat and we'll answer as we continue. Thank you.
Great. Well, good morning again, Africa, and welcome to this section of the webinar. I will talk about farming as a business. We all hear that, but sometimes we see farmers struggling. Are you a grower that wants to understand better how to get a control on your costs, or that have you secured a contract for delivering to a supermarket and don't understand properly how to plan your crop and stagger your crop so that you can bring a continuous quantity and quality, then keep on listening, because I'm going to take you through the next couple of slides where I share tools to record and to understand and analyze what is important in a crop. I am Harold Peters. I'm by training an agricultural engineer from the University of Leuven in Belgium, and I've been living for the last 33 years in East Africa. I love visiting farmers because then that's where the rubber meets the road and where the varieties are going to prove what they are worth. So what sometimes worries me is indeed that farmers struggle to realize the full potential of our varieties. So that is basically the background on why we're collecting data and analyzing yields. We have two examples here from Tanzania and from Ghana, and they're both very interesting, and I will compare them. And since there it is also European Championships, there's a bit of competition in the air. We will look onto who is here the better farmer, or who makes the most money. So stay with me and let's have a look. So if we talk about Tanzania and Ghana, I have organized the basic data onto sheets, and it just tells you whom we're talking about, the size of the field, and the size of this particular crop. And in the case of Tanzania, it's very tiny, 1,400 plants on 560 square meter. In Ghana, the grower had 3,000 square meter and a lot more plants, of course. So let's have a look at how we analyze this. So I'll take you slowly to this, because it's quite a bit of graphs and tables. So DOS is date of sowing, DOT is date of transplanting, and then the first harvest and the last harvest. Why do I do this? This is in the case from Tanzania, to understand how long it takes from sowing, what we have seen explained by Dr. Eugene. How long does it take before you can transplant? So in this case, it was 46 days, and it took 99 days before the first harvest came, and a total yield or cycle of 221 days. That is quite long, but if you understand the context, then you know that when the seeds were sown, end of April is the end of the rainy season. We go into a cold season. In June, July, it's really cold up there in Moshi, Arusha, and that slows down a bit our habaneros. Any habanero will like a more warm climate. That's another thing that you need to understand. So then we look at the next thing is the whole cycle, the 267 days. For Ghana, we see a bit of a different picture. The whole crop was done in 163 days. That's 100 days shorter, which is interesting to note. But it was also a much lower altitude and hotter climate. So all these things are always in context. A seed is a seed, and it's the same genetic material, but it's put in a different soil and in a different environment. We always have to keep that in mind. So if you look at the crop harvest from Tanzania, we see, it's already a little bit data from 2018. We see the different harvest dates, the kilograms harvested, and yes, we want to talk in kilograms because then we can compare. And a total was harvest of 5 tons and in 16 harvests. So the nice thing about this is the grower sold it on the open market, and that's why you see in this price per kilogram, farm gate price, there is fluctuations. I've put it in euros just for you to, then you can convert it to your local currencies. I think it's easier than when I talk in Tanzania shilling. But it was fairly good prices. And the total income exceeded 3,750 euros, which, to put that in context also, Tanzania had just by then gone into the lower middle income category. And that means that it's 3 times the GDP per capita of Tanzania at that time. So this shows that a smallholder farmer on 540 square meter with 1,400 plants makes 3,700 euros. That's not a small feat. Huh? She managed to do that because she had 3.6 kilograms per plant on average. So every plant that survived in the field had on average 3.6 kilograms. If you would extrapolate that, that's of course a little bit dangerous because extrapolating means you go now from 540 and you say, okay, what is then the potential per acre or per hectare? So per hectare, if everything would have stayed the same, she would have had a yield of 90 tons. Yeah, serious amounts of habanero. So let's have a look at the seed cost. So the seed cost was only, if I divide the seed cost by the gross income and make a percentage of that, it's only 1.78% of the income. So I'll tell you here a secret. I started doing these business cases because I got a bit annoyed about everybody saying, oh, your seeds are so expensive. So I dove into it. I said, look, okay, you bought seeds for a certain amount. Let me calculate and analyze how much you made with them. So this is why I started doing this. And this always gives very interesting insights. So now let's have a look at the same data from Ghana. So I put it all together. Here again we see a bigger field, but also the same number of harvests, 15 harvests, but mind you, 100 days earlier. Because of that, I think we can explain it about because of the climate, the difference in climate. But also, yeah, very nice. I think that is 14 tons, if I see it well, 10 tons, sorry, and 22,000 euro income, gross income. We talk here about gross income. Now we see also straight away some interesting other data, that is that the farm gate price stays 2.14 euro per kilogram. I inquired, and that was because the farmer had made a contract. So he knew beforehand, I am going to get 2.14 euro per kilogram. I just have to spit out those kilograms, yeah? And then I'm in business. Again, here we see, if you analyze the kilograms per plant, an average of 1.5 kilogram per plant. So markedly lower than what our grower in Tanzania was able to do. But again, the cost of the seed in relation to the gross income was again roughly the same, 1.68%. So both cases are going to be very, very interesting to compare and to learn from. If we plot now the data that we have received here in graphs, so we have on the x as the date and on the y as the kilograms per plant, or the yield, then we see a very nice steady harvest in the case of Tanzania, but also in the case of Ghana. It has a peak in the beginning and then sort of levels out. Yeah. So per harvest cycle, and if we add now in the blue, that is the farm gate price, which for Tanzania will go up and down because the market, sometimes there is oversupply in the market, the price goes down. What does strike the eye is that when the price is the highest, our grower managed also to push the plants to produce and harvest more, and that is why she maximizes there her income in that week. Then the graph of Ghana, where we see a flat blue line, the price of the farm at farm gate was the same all over along the season, over the season, and then the income is in relation to the how many kilograms you can harvest times the farm gate price. So you see that it stayed the same. The weekly income compared, and we see a peak there in Tanzania, and again for Ghana. Oh, that was the same graph there. And for Ghana, the green is the yields, the blue line is the farm gate price, and the orange line is the gross income over the growing cycle, whereby we see a nice over 2,100 euro in that peak week. That was the income in a week, yeah, in that harvest week. So if we now talk in per plant, let's just look at one plant, the average yield of a plant. Then we see that plant in Tanzania is producing like consistently more than 200 grams, 13 of the 16 harvests. Yeah. Now here you have your advantage of a hybrid. This is the uniformity, the distinctiveness and the stability of our variety that keeps, if you follow the good advice of my colleague Eugene, then your plant really starts producing. You harvest every week and it starts getting into a mode like, okay, let's spit out those fruits. Very, very nice to see. If we do the green graph that goes on the right-hand side, that is a cumulative yield per plant, then we see that we get to 3.6 kilograms, yeah? 3,600 grams per plant. And that is the average, that is each and every single plant that was in that field. So what you also see is that in the last 2-3 harvests, the increase in yield isn't so high anymore because your plant has reached the end of its life. Yeah, there is of course a plant also stops growing and dies. So then the question is it still viable or effort to put an effort in keeping that plant alive, or is it not better to start your next field, yeah, your next cycle? Because you see in the beginning, in the middle of the graph there, you have a much shorter period for a much higher increase in yield of that plant. Yeah. Yeah? That's what you see there. Yeah. And about the same you see also in the graph of the plant in Ghana. Also a long period of very nice and stable, over 100 grams per plant for all those weeks. Yeah, very nice to see. In cumulative, again, the same thing. You see a total of 1,500 grams per plant. And again, towards the end of the life, the plant slows down and your increase is a lot less than in the middle of the full growth. So what yields are now possible per plant, per square meter, per hectare, and what does that tell us? We have seen 1.5 kilogram per plant, and we have seen our grower in Tanzania 3.6 kilograms. We have heard from Dr. Eugene that in Senegal there are people reaching 6 kilograms per plant. So yes, that is really possible. We see here that depending on how many plants per square meter you have, and I took here an average of 1.6 plants per square meter, that is the yields that are possible and the tonnage per hectare that are possible. What does that tell us? 1.5 kilogram, I think you need to pull up your socks and get better. Then somewhere between 2 and 3, you're in average. 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, you're really good. You're playing basically Premier League, and of course here, if you're 5 to 6 kilograms per plant, then you are playing Champions League, I would say. Yeah. What does that look like? Yeah, here it is. Our Lolesa in a field being sorted for the lady on the left, who is the buyer. Yeah, they love to see our varieties because they are stable, they're uniform, they have a ready price on the market. So if we now look at understanding our costs, we need to talk about grouping those costs. What is the first thing you need is a seed, of course, and then a seedling. You need to spend time and money on preparing your land. You need fertilizer, you need crop protection, you need labor. So all these things, if you group them as in management accounts, you can start comparing one season against another, and you can start understanding better what contributes to the cost of your crop. And then you see again that the cost of seed, and that was why I started doing this, is usually number 4 or number 5 in all the total costs. You can also divide those costs per square meter that has been planted, or per kilogram produced. So that means the more you produce, the lower that cost per kilogram produced is. So it's all tools to understand better your crop and your business. So anyway, very nice production there. Not much to complain about, I think. Now let's look at the costs and the income from Ghana. Very similar, comparable costs. I'm going to put them next to each other, and that gives you an idea on what the extrapolation that I've done is always an extrapolation. The crop was grown on 3,000 square meters, so that's just under an acre, or a third of a hectare. So if you extrapolate that into an yield and an income per hectare, you have to take into account that there's one big thing that is changing, that is management. You're going to need a lot more people, and you're going to need to manage those people. And there is, that we all know, working in the business, that is one of the most difficult parts. So again, we have here the Tanzania table, and next to it the Ghana table. So we can see that they're basically very, very close to each other, in terms of if you extrapolate it to a hectare, in terms of costs, income, and margins. So if we put that in a graph, again, we see the production per square meter for Tanzania was a lot higher, because the crop was producing 3.6 kilograms per plant. That wasn't achieved in Ghana, but it doesn't mean that Ghana was not Ghanaian grower wasn't happy. He was happy, and we will show you that in the next slide. Yeah, the if we now take also into account here, okay, sorry, we have here again the gram per plant compared Ghana and in yellow and green in Tanzania. With a maximum there of 293 grams per plant in one single harvest and 153 grams on a single harvest in Ghana. Yeah? That is very nice, very nice done. And then a cumulative growth over the period of 3.6 and 1.54 kilogram per plant, sorry. So now we look at the production and also the total, the cumulative again compared. Now let's have a look at the income. Then we see suddenly that Ghana overtakes Tanzania with an income going really sky high in the fifth and the sixth harvest there. Yeah? And again, that is because the price was really good for Ghana. 2.14 euro per kilo is really very nice. And we see here the gross income over the per plant. That's a very nice in euro per plant. Yeah? So each plant brought in Ghana 3.3 euros. Yeah? Imagine. So this is all combined again. So I would say look at it later on at your leisure and take your time to understand. But we're going to go to the take-homes of this session, of those two studies, of these two case studies, the same varieties. There was also Loleza and Afadia involved in both cases. Now we see 2 times a smallholder, yeah? One very small, 560 square meter, and one 3,000 square meter. What happens is big difference in yield per plant, 3.6 in the case of Tanzania and 1.5 in the case of Ghana. So Tanzania is selling at an average of 0.74 euro per kilogram, while the contract growing in Ghana was at 2.14. So what can we learn from this? Yeah, a couple of things. In terms of the plant, the physiology of the plant, these plants can really produce. Yeah? In the case of Ghana, it was over 100 grams per plant per week. In the case of Tanzania, more than 200 grams per plant per week. Now you can start making your if you have a contract, you can start making your calculation. How many plants do I need? If I need in 5 months down the line, I need so many kilograms per week to deliver. Yeah, so that helps you to understand your crop better. Mind you, every season will be a little bit different, country to country, soil to different soils will give different results. But as a farmer, you know your farm best, or you should. So now we see that the advice we can give for Tanzania would be, yeah, build long-term relationship with an off-taker, with a processor or a supermarket, and negotiate a better price. For the advice for Ghana would be, yeah, get the advice of Dr. Eugene to the heart and get probably a bit more fertilizer in and crop protection, and you're gonna get up to a good 3-4 kilograms per plant. In general, why I started this is, yeah, the seed cost to gross income ratio is really below 2%. So the X1 seeds are worth every penny, I would say. Now, I'm at the end of this session, and I can imagine there is quite a bit of questions that might raise in your head. So please put them on the chat, and we will look at it and come back to you whenever we see the general trend. So here are our two champions. This is Mama Rukia Ibrahim and from Ghana, Michael, yeah. So Ongera Sana for those 2 people. Really, this is really giving hope and prospect for farmers who want to grow habanero and do business with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Harold. I think this very excellent presentation about business, you know, Either you want to be a champion, you want to play champion league, or you are the one to decide. If you put everything together, I think not only Michael and Mama Rukia, but also we've seen in West Africa, in Senegal particularly, also in Ghana, in all across many countries in West Africa, also in Tanzania or East Africa, people are making our Habanero to become a very successful agribusiness, agripreneur. We thank you very much for that. I think we are going now to receive some questions. Better, are there some questions in the chat?
Yeah, thank you everybody for your questions, and it was really nice to have you everybody here. And maybe Eugene, these questions are directed to you.
Yeah.
And the first question is like, can you grow the habaneros during the rainy seasons?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a good question. You can grow habanero in the rainy season. What we advise is to start habanero if you want to grow it in the rainy season. That's a very good question because that's where you get the better price. Yep. However, we advise you to start the seedling, the planting earlier, to have a stronger plant before the heavy rain period. For instance, if you are in Nigeria or West Africa, tropical lowland, like Cotonou, Benin, and Togo or Ghana, if you start sowing already in February or March, by the time end of April, May, when the heavy rain starts, you already have a plant of certain size. Then you are going to make it. Otherwise, the heavy rain can also make the flower drop. But we advise you. I think Boubacar is one of our growers in Senegal. He understood very well this technique. He placed it, the plant was quite big, and before the rain, and then when the rain comes, he can cope with. And also, you have to have a good, in the raining period, we know Xanthomonas. Bacterial spot is disturbing sometimes. But if you have it in a very nice, before the plant can get hit by the bacteria, you then can harvest as much as you can before. So these are the advice I will give you. Plan with the season, plan with the sowing period. I would put it a very nice way. Sowing period, transplanting period. Do it a little bit earlier, before the heavy rain starts. Then you can make it. Yep. Of course, you can also do it at any time anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Eugene. And the question is like, many people who have been planting the habaneros in the rainy season, they also get issues of thrips. How do you control and maintain thrips during the rainy season, especially the rainy seasons? Yeah.
Yeah, in the rainy season, I think that was a very good question. We experience it in Nigeria. You need to have really, because thrips management is not that easy. Start from the nursery, but then you have to have a boom sprayer, a powerful sprayer, not this knapsack. If you send one of your technicians to the field, after 200 square meters, he's tired. So he's just gently, watering the plant. But then if you really have a boom sprayer, even sometimes we use a clean water, and the effect was quite big. So I will advise you to invest in that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so for today we have the last question, and all the questions that on the chat we'll try to get back to you. The last question is it possible to get a manual that will show all the way to do fertigation, fertilization, and also the spraying regime?
Yeah, we can provide, but I think if you study properly the presentation, you will see it. But we can also provide you with just contact us in any of our contact, any of our distributor in your area. They can also help you to have a very good fertilization regime. Thank you very much. I think that's what I would say, because if we want to go to details, it will take a little more time.
Yeah. We just wanted to show you also quickly our distributors all over Africa. So we have AgroSeed in Senegal, we have Seed for Agro in Nigeria, Holland GreenTech is in Ghana, Benin, Burkina Faso, and also in East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, Rwanda, Burundi, and then we have Agrofair in Côte d'Ivoire.
Agrifair.
Okay, I think...
Thank you very much. I think you enjoyed this time. We share with you, and we are still open. Go through again all the steps, combined with what we've done last year. If you put all this together, I'm pretty sure next time we visit you in your own country, in your own farm, you will be laughing. You will be a lot of laughter in that time. Thank you very much. I would like to congratulate my colleague Harold for this brilliant presentation and also the support of Berta Bageni. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.